Breaking news! Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is kicked out of the White House after a high-stakes peace deal and mineral deal erupts in chaos.
Today, Donald Trump irreparably destroyed the 80-year-old post-World War II international order.
The world watches in disbelief as an explosive meeting with Donald Trump ends in humiliation and an uncertain future for the entire world.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having cards. Right now, you don't. You're playing cards. You're playing cards. You're gambling with the lives of millions of people. You're gambling with World War III.
The world is in chaos, and the leaders of the NATO alliance in complete shock as they all rally behind Zelensky, showing huge support to Zelensky amid complete disaster as potential peace talks have exploded. The meeting between Zelensky and Donald Trump erupted into an unprecedented shouting match between world leaders who should be on the same side as the Trump administration switched sides to support Putin instead of their long-term ally, Ukraine. The reputation of the Trump administration is completely destroyed as Trump and JD Vance bully and humiliate Zelensky in front of the media. Zelensky wanted security assurances because he thinks Russia will eventually break any ceasefire if Ukraine isn't strong. But the Trump administration were not concerned about any weapons deals and completely dismissed this concern, eventually leading to Zelensky getting kicked out of the White House, sparking international outrage from global leaders and NATO allies.
There should be no compromises with President Putin. Following all that drama, the president of Ukraine was ordered to leave the White House and a much-anticipated minerals deal was not signed.
Mayor Zelensky at the White House, leaders around the world have offered forceful reactions, including Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, who posted, "Canada will continue to stand with Ukraine and Ukrainians in achieving a just and lasting peace." German Chancellor Olaf Scholz wrote, "No one wants peace more than the citizens of Ukraine." The EU's top diplomat, Kaja Kallas, offered, "The free world needs a new leader."
So today, let me inform you how this monumental peace deal broke down. Peace is not on the table anymore and will lead to a coming disaster for Ukraine and peace in Europe. The explosion of peace talks marks an unprecedented and horrifying shift in global politics and a potential end to the world order we've gotten used to. Donald Trump will not get the lucrative mineral deal he wanted so desperately, as this amazing deal collapsed spectacularly right in front of him. From the very beginning of their meeting, it became apparent that their interests were not aligned. Zelensky cared about getting weapons and security arrangements, but Donald Trump only cared about getting the minerals and stopping the war as quickly as he could.
Long-term security for Ukraine. How does this provide?
I think they're going to have great luck. I think once we make the agreement, that's going to be 95% of it. They're not going to go back to fighting. We talk about security. Everyone's talking about the other day. All they talked about was security. I said, let me make the deal first. I have to make the deal first. I don't worry about security right now. We have to have a deal.
Watch Donald Trump answer this question. It makes it so apparent that he doesn't care about security. He only cares about the mineral deal.
Does that mean you provide security guarantees, Mr. President?
I don't want to talk about security yet because I want to get the deal done. You know, you fall into the same trap like everybody else. A million times you say it over and over. I want to get the deal done. Security is so easy. That's about 2% of the problem. I'm not worried about security. I'm worried about getting the deal done. We haven't committed, but we could conceivably. You know, we have security in a different form. We'll have workers there digging, taking the raw earth so that we can create a lot of great product in this country. I don't think you're going to need much security. I think once this deal gets done, it's over. Russia's not going to want to go back, and nobody's going to want to go back. When this deal ends, I really believe this deal is...
Right, so Trump's view is that they don't need security arrangements. The minerals deal will be enough. Russia won't invade again. But obviously, Zelensky's not going to trust Putin ever. So he tells Donald Trump why he can't trust Putin.
And about just ceasefire. We can't just speak about ceasefire and speak and speak. It will not work. Just ceasefire will not never work because...
So then Zelensky explains why a ceasefire won't work. Because they've tried it before and it didn't work.
And we had Normandy format, you know, the France, Germany, Ukraine and Russia. And he broken 25 times. That's why we will never accept just ceasefire. It will not work without security guarantees.
So after this is where the heat really turns up. JD Vance and Donald Trump insist on diplomacy, but Zelensky says he needs the guns. If they don't have the guns, they're never going to get lasting peace.
What kind of diplomacy JD, you are speaking about? What do you mean?
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you are not strong...
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the President for trying to bring an end to this conflict. Do you disagree that you've had problems? Bringing people into your military?
We have problems.
And do you think that it's respectful to come to the Oval Office of the United States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country?
A lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
First of all, during the war, everybody has problems. Even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless.
You
God bless. You will not have a war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
And just like that, Zelensky made his big mistake. He told them what they were going to feel if another war broke out. Donald Trump and JD Vance completely freaked out.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because you're in no position to dictate that. Remember this. You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel. We're going to feel very good.
You will feel influence.
We're going to feel very good and very strong.
You will feel influence.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about it.
From the very beginning of the war.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now.
So it's at this point that it all breaks down. They can't communicate with each other anymore. They're just shouting. They're like small children at a playground. They're supposed to be grown up, so it's supposed to be world leaders. Instead, they're just shouting at each other and not listening and accusing each other of things. But yeah, watch as this whole thing breaks down.
With us, you start having
not playing cards.
Right now, you don't.
You're
playing cards.
Mr. President.
You're
I'm
playing
very
cards.
serious.
You're gambling with the lives of
anymore.
millions of people.
You're
gambling with World War III. You're gambling with World War III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country. You have to be thankful. You don't have the cards. You're buried there. Your people are dying. You're running low on soldiers. Listen, you're running low on soldiers. It would be a damn good thing. And then you tell us, I don't want a ceasefire. I don't want a ceasefire. I want to go and I want this. Look, you got to be more thankful. Because let me tell you, you don't have the cards. With us, you have the cards. But without us, you don't have any cards.
One more question to Mr. Vice President. I'm sorry.
It's going to be a tough deal to make. Because the attitudes have to change.
What if Russia breaks ceasefire? What if Russia breaks peace talks? What do you do then? I understand that it's a heated conversation right now.
What are you saying?
She's asking, what if Russia breaks the ceasefire?
What if anything? What if a bomb drops on your head right now? Okay? What if they broke it? I don't know. They broke it with Biden because Biden, they didn't respect him. They didn't respect Obama. They respect me. The problem is I've empowered you to be a tough guy. And I don't think you'd be a tough guy without the United States. And your people are very brave. But you're either going to make a deal or we're out. And if we're out, you'll fight it out. I don't think it's going to be pretty, but you'll fight it out. But you don't have the cards. But once we sign that deal, you're in a much better position. But you're not acting at all thankful. And that's not a nice thing. I'll be honest, that's not a nice thing. All right, I think we've seen enough. What do you think, huh? This is going to be great television, I will say that. All right, we'll see what we can do about putting it together. Thank you.
Jesus fucking Christ. What a disaster. But how did we end up here? Donald Trump has always liked Putin. Especially after Russiagate, he felt like they were in it together when the media was attacking them for many years about Russia. It's also important to remember Donald Trump got impeached his first time because he was extorting Zelensky during their infamous quid pro quo phone call, probably aligning him against Zelensky. But it's important to realize why the MAGA movement hates Zelensky. So the hatred from Zelensky, it comes from the fact that Zelensky and Joe Biden were such good friends. They saw Biden was showering Zelensky with money and weapons, and it also doesn't help that Zelensky was essentially campaigning for the Democrats in the 2024 presidential election. So, during the war, when Biden was president, the view of Zelensky changed from the MAGA movement. The Make America Great Again movement and America First movement saw Zelensky not as a hero, but a con man, coming to Washington constantly begging for money. You know, especially the fringes of the America First movement has this view. They even have it of long-term ally Netanyahu. They feel like outsiders are coming to America and pressuring them into giving away all their money. They don't want to fund foreign wars, and they hate the idea that America is giving away all their precious money and weapons and getting nothing in return, which is especially the case since America is filled up with problems. Their cities are in ruin, the working class is getting squeezed by rising inequality, rising cost of living, and sharply rising debt. America is in deep, deep, deep debt, billions and trillions of dollars, and they're willing to do whatever it takes to fix this problem as fast as they can to avoid complete and utter economic collapse. So let me tell you how these concepts relate. To avoid their total economic collapse, the America First and MAGA movement has had insane focus on cutting out fraud, waste, and abuse from government spending. Aid to Ukraine fits right into this equation. They see their support to Ukraine as a complete waste that fuels an endless war that's impossible to win. They think Europeans are getting a better deal from this war. The European NATO partners are not putting in their fair share. They think the US is funding the entire war and Europe is not spending enough on war. Additionally, the money Europe is sending to Ukraine is in forms of loan guarantees that Ukraine has to pay back. This has even more emphasized that the US is getting shafted completely in this war in Ukraine. Furthermore, this explains why Trump only cares about the mineral deal and not about supplying Ukraine with weapons. Trump wants money and he wants it now. He thinks the US has spent billions and billions and billions of dollars in Ukraine, getting absolutely nothing for it in return. So he wants to get his $500 billion from Ukraine and raw earth resources to offset all the aid they've sent to Ukraine. These $500 billion from the mineral deal is especially important to help the US economy, as they have trillions in government debt that has to be fixed fast before the US economy completely collapses. So in total, I think this explains why the US has taken the Russian side to this conflict. The Trump administration wants to take a more neutral position rather than a Ukraine side, so Russians are more likely to accept the deal and fast, completely disregarding Ukrainian security, making Ukraine weak. But making Ukraine weak makes the Russians more likely to accept a ceasefire right now, because a deal with weapons might lead to Russians actually refusing to have peace.